Welcome to the panel, the Bartholomew family, three generations of New Orleans hitmaking. I'm John Swenson. I'm going to walk us through the history of this amazing musical family. New Orleans music has always been a family tradition, handed down from generation to generation in a very unique way. Dave Bartholomew, who is the patriarch of the Bartholomew family, is 93 years old, and he unfortunately could not make it. His son Ron, who runs the business affairs for all the Bartholomew family interests, is here with us, and he was with Dave yesterday, and he wants to give us a greeting from Dave.
Right. I actually, well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you guys for even having us. Thank you for coming to be even interested in our family. We're most appreciative of it for the simple fact that my dad did something that probably just because he wanted to more like have a job to be able to take care of his family, and it turned out to be a career. He always said how hungry he was. And to say that he did something over 50 years ago and is still relevant today, I like to say thank you for having interest. We are sitting up here as a family, not only to, how can I put it? We have two jobs here. We have a job in which we're here to do music, to continue to create music because we love music, but we also have the #1 job of protecting a legacy that was initiated years and years ago. I made the conscious decision this morning to not have my father here today. So if anybody want to blame anybody, it's my fault. All right. He's actually going to be 93 this year in December.
Okay.
He's 92. So I don't know if he'd like if you gave him that +1. But just to be honest, I was with him all day yesterday. I flew in from Tampa yesterday to New Orleans, spent the whole entire day with him, and I made the decision for him not to come here. Not because I want to disappoint anybody, but my dad's in pretty good health except for he has some serious knee issues. And I always tell him if you walked on something for 92 years, it ought to hurt. So you can't blame that. I mean, he's 92. He's really, really sharp. And we're blessed to still have him around. So I want to treasure that and not put too much mileage on it if we don't have to. All right, so my apology for him not being here because it was my decision, even up until this morning. I kind of slept on it, and we even talked about 6 this morning prior to me leaving out at about 8. And so it's my fault. So.
Well, I know Dave was very, very eager to be here, especially because we have a piece of news for you, which is pretty great. There's unreleased Dave Bartholomew music that his son Don B discovered after Katrina in a cleanup of the studio, and this record he's been working on producing a record of these undiscovered tracks called the Lost Files, yes. Which will be out later this year. And can you tell us something about that, Don?
Absolutely. I guess if we all in here probably seen Purple Rain one time or another. It was kind of like that's the way Prince found his daddy music. That's how I found these cassette tapes after Hurricane Katrina. I went back to our studio, and my dad was working out of the studio actually just as much as I was before Katrina. And he always kept a lot of cassettes, but everybody knows you don't touch your daddy's stuff. So we never touched Dad's cassettes, So after Katrina, when I went back to the studio, I started trying to clean up, and I started noticing I would just, there's a bunch of cassettes, and from the first part of it, I thought it was probably just music that he just, just always put, not so much original stuff, just stuff that he just always put his big band stuff on, whatnot, this and that. And I wound up listening to some of it, and I remember that it was some music that I heard when I was like maybe about 8, 9 years old, and I would hear it all the time. He would always play it, but I haven't heard it since then, and now I'm 46, so imagine that. So it's a lot of songs that he worked on with some great people. It's a lot of demos, I should say, he did with Chuck Calbo, with Johnny Adams, Fats Domino, but there's a lot of unreleased stuff that they just worked on at the house. It was just, you know, like they was jamming and songwriting, and it was probably meant to be put out, but it just never happened. So after I listened to everything, I was kind of amazed, and then it was crazy because I found one tape that he was narrating all this stuff on. So I was like, okay, well, he set this up for me 40 years, you know, 40 years ago. So it was meant for me to find this stuff. So when I started listening to the songs, and then the narration wasn't even on the same cassette. It's like I had to piece all this stuff together like a puzzle. And as I kept listening to it and going back and listening to the narration, I'm like, man, this is some lost files. This is, you know, this is something that the world needs to hear. I mean, and when I played it for my dad, he was like, well, thank God you found it. I didn't even know where it was. I thought it was gone in the water. So to make a long story short, I started maybe a few months ago, I started re-recording some of the stuff with some New Orleans great people, New Orleans great musicians that's relevant now. So what I wanted to do, well, what I am doing is re-recording the music, but I am using the people that's relevant now, like Deacon John, Irma Thomas, John Boutte, just to name a few people that's from out of New Orleans, that's, you know, household names that's from New Orleans, and that was his whole philosophy about using New Orleans artists. I didn't want to, there's nothing against, like, you know, using artists from LA or New York or even Texas, but it's a New Orleans profound type situation, so I wanted to stick to that situation. So that's what I'm working on. It's called the Day Bartholomew Lost Files. Hopefully we can have it ready by the end of May or June, and yeah, so that's that. That's quite a project I'm working on, because obviously, as you know, as I'm working with all these different people, there's a lot of different schedules going on, and it's been a task, but we getting through it. So, and it's coming out really good, and hopefully I'm hoping there's some Grammy situations going on with these records.
Well, don't rush it.
There you go.
Don't put a date.
So yeah, so I mean, it's really all laid out. The blueprint is laid already. You know, I can't take all the credit for reproducing it, because, like I said, I'm reproducing it. I want to kind of keep it almost authentic as it was, but I just wanted to have a 2014 sound and not a 1973 sound. But kind of mix the two together and make it work. And actually, I'm gonna bring my dad back on to play trumpet on one of them as well. So yeah, I think it'll be good.